Glad to have you back. Now, despite the crisis rocking the ruling All Progressive Congress APC, its interim National Secretary John Akpan-Odede has re-emphasized that the party's leadership is intact and functional as originally constituted. He also said the party has set in motion a plan to vacate the court injunction restraining it from going ahead from the March 26th National Convention. Mr. Akpan-Odede spoke at the APC National Secretariat in Abuja on Tuesday, adding that there is no leadership crisis in the party as been reported in the media. Now, joining us to make sense of this conversation, we have Dr. Dayo Kayode, political technocrat. Good morning, Dr. Dayo.
Good morning, it's my pleasure being here. I love the way you were pronouncing that. I've been learning how to pronounce that name. Can you pronounce for me? I don't want to break
I think translation.
I don't want to break. How are you, my brother?
Good morning.
Yeah,
all right, Dr. Dayo, now John Akpan-Odede has come out to say that there is no crisis within the APC leadership. Dr.
Who is he deceiving?
All right. Yes.
Who is he telling that?
Now, he said, as reported in the media, so I just want to hear.
Who is he? Who is it? Is he telling Nigerians or telling himself? Because everybody can see. Okay, look at this cup now. It's white. If I'm now telling viewers that, look, this thing is black, who is deceiving who? We have said it several times that anything built upon falls will definitely fall.
Excuse me.
But APC was built under the canopy of a kind of people conniving against a particular leader. Anything then aside Jonathan. And how would they be able to get it? Then you now find ACN, I think ACN then, then CPC, part of PDP, new PDP, AMP, without looking at who are you, who am I, what are our differences, what are our needs and aspirations. Then let us put them together, so that based on that, we can have a kind of action plan on how to develop and grow ourselves. But look at where it has. And that is why at that time, one, it was difficult for them, for APC, to come up with a government for nothing less than
6 months.
About 8 months. That was why they couldn't come to a consensus who becomes the leader of the National Assembly. We all knew what happened. And that is why we are still where we are today, like a ship that is rudderless on the ocean.
Apparently, you just talked about the formation of APC as the bane of the crisis they have now. And if I'm not mistaken, you're pointing to the point to the fact that they were founded without having a clear-cut ideology.
Sure.
Let's deviate a bit, to the issue of ideology, political ideologies, and the various political parties we have. I understand our focus is on APC, but it's still part of the process.
Oh,
because,
yes.
Political ideology drives political parties,
sure,
and political parties gain power. So now the question will be this: what's your perspective of the various political parties we have with respect to political ideologies and how they try to govern?
Yeah, you see, presently, I mean, in the past, we were having parties with clear-cut different ideologies and philosophy.
Second Republic?
Yeah. Okay? But it's so unfortunate that the whole thing are dissipated into agberoish. Let me put it that way, if you allow me.
Is that an English word?
Yeah, we can coin it. We can coin it. Do you understand? Endeavor, whereby anything goes. In Yoruba, they call it Iruwa Ogriwa. That is, this one just come, that one come, anything goes. Whereby the so-called leaders, in quotes now pick anybody to any position that will be able to suit what they are looking for. So to that extent, we don't have parties with clear-cut ideology. Because they are leaders, they just say, okay, you come. I will make you this. Then it will now be in PDP. Okay, you come. I will make you this. It will now be in APC. Okay, but at the end of the day, when they now find out that that leader is now, when they too, they have gained prominence, they now look at it, I don't want to be under this man again. You now see them, they will jump boat.
But then, Dr. Dai, what are those variants that really form clear-cut ideologies, just as you have put it?
Now, it is all about you. These are your needs and aspiration. These are your thinking for your nation. These are the okay, let me give you a very good analogy that everybody sees. At least nothing less than 75% of the population these days likes watching football. Imagine Fulham. Don't let me use even those big names. Let's look at Fulham playing in their stadium. You see, those people that lives around Fulham, those people that lives around there, they will go to the stadium. They will watch that match. They've already grown themselves into loving that club. They know the philosophy of that club. They know whether they are playing defensive or offensive or attacking football or whatever. Imagine a man, because I've seen it before, carrying a baby of like 4 years or less than 4 years. And Fulham was caught. The baby screamed. Do you understand? So that means from the onset, that baby had grown with the philosophy of that club. So also his political party. How many of them had grown? Look at this Baba, Balarabe Musa. His philosophy is all about development of the Talakawas. Okay? So anything he does, as regards whenever he is in government, such a person will be tending towards that. What are the things that I will do to ensure that the Talakawas emerge? Are you with me? Emerge. Yes. So those are the things that forms the philosophy of a party. Is it about housing, education, health, this, that? I don't want to use that I don't want to use all these concepts of socialism or communalism or capitalism so that viewers will understand properly. Because they might not, I mean, there are a lot of people that wouldn't understand those concepts of yes, communism, feudalism, capitalism, socialism, and all that. So that I don't take them to Russia as regards socialism.
Just before we delve back to the discourse regards APC's leadership crisis, let's wrap up this ideology discourse. Where did it go wrong in terms of ideologies? Even prior to the First Republic, you had, even within parties, various ideologies. You can take the Action Group, for example, the Awolowo socialists.
We missed it from 1999, and I will tell you, up to today, we missed it from 1999.
Prior to 1999, there was that degrading, even within, for example, as I said, the Action Group, prior to the First Republic from 1959, you had that difference between, Awolowo and
even
his
that,
deputy,
they still have their philosophy.
They did, yes, that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I'm saying. Immediately, we had, along the line, we had military integration.
Yes.
Now, even when we're having
Second Republic,
UPN, GNPP, PRP, and all that,
yes,
they were still having that philosophy. They were still having it.
But that was when it collapsed.
1999, no, it didn't collapse there. It was after the military took over. Now, the 1999, people in MPN, they came into, they are the one that formed PDP. People in UPN, they're the one that started with AD
Alliance for Democracy,
and another one. AD and another one. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, when PDP was now shopping for who to become the president, they looked at what happened to Southwest as regards Abiola. All right? And they now, okay, let us assuage the grievances of the Southwest. Who is it that we can bring that will be able to join the country together in terms of Southwest and East? That would be very acceptable. And he went to bring Baba Obasanjo. Without looking at, is Baba Obasanjo having the same ideology, the same thinking, the same focus, with the focus of PDP? Are you with me?
Yes.
There was PDM. PDM has its focus. PDM being led by late Yaradua, then handed over to the former vice president, Atiku Abubakar. Atiku Abubakar understands the philosophy and whatever of the thinking, the thoughts, the aspirations of PDM. Okay? But along the line, when they now brought Baba Sonjo, the two of them, were they having the same philosophy?
Okay.
Do you understand? You can now see where that disparity started coming from. Now, along the line, when Baba Sonjo was to leave the stage after 8 years, he now shopped for some other people again. Meanwhile, mark you, there are a lot of them there that were jostling to become the president. That means they have prepared their manifesto based on ideology of PDP. But unfortunately, he went to bring in somebody who was elected as a governor, who was not having that blueprint to become the president. And now shock that person with somebody else again who was operating in the state, who even never thought he could be a governor, if not because of what happened to Alamesia. Do you understand? Now shocking. So what do you expect? There's no way they will not lose that focus of PDP philosophy. And that was what happened then. Until when they started balancing themselves. When they started balancing themselves. And you can see the way our economy was going then. I mean, we have the ratings. We also know the foreign direct investment index then. We know the level of fragility index of Nigeria and all those indexes compared to when it was now we don't want Jonathan, anything except from Jonathan, and somebody who who was having his own different philosophy through what was that his party again? Buhari's CPC. CPC's philosophy was different from that of ACN, and different from that of PDP, and different from ABGA. They now decide to collapse themselves together without streamlining how they are going to work. And that is why we are where we are today.
Okay. Let's take it, I mean, just before Margaret asks a question, let's take it down now to the APC crisis. We've talked about lack of ideology being the bane of this, leadership crisis. Now let's look at the impact within the party and in terms of our democracy as a whole. For a democracy to be strong and robust, you need a strong opposition, the ruling party as well, among other things. 2023, the elections are less than a year, the presidential elections, it must be said. What do you think, how much of an impact now do you think this crisis has, not just on APC, but on our democracy as a whole, considering that PDP are also yet to get their own, rhythm together?
There are so many questions, there are almost three I can identify.
Yes.
I first of all come with that opposition. Everybody has his or her own tactics. Okay? The tactic of APC when APC was in opposition was, we no go agree. We must. Do you understand? While there are some, like when you look at PDP, it's not that they are not opposing APC, but they have that underneath activities. They are not sort of coming with the so-called they are not being vociferous because they don't want to cause a kind of a chaos. They don't want to be using some vulgar languages. I mean, you will not hear PDP talking about if you don't give me power, you will see blood. Dogs will be licking your blood on the road. You will be using a bean bag to carry. Do you understand? It's a different ball game. So that does not mean that APC is not doing. I mean, PDP is not opposing APC. You can also assess PDP and APC from the way they have been comporting themselves within the National Assembly. Now, coming back to the crisis within PDP and within APC and as it's going to affect our democratic setting. As it is now, APC is being controlled by one single person. which never happened when PDP was in power. You know that. Baba is in UK now. Everything they want to do, they take it to, all of them, they travel to UK. The wife is in Dubai. Governors' wives, led by BC Fayemi, led them to Dubai to go and present cake. Why? Because all of them, they are looking for one thing or the other. And because Baba is the only voice, when he was traveling on his recent medical tourism,
he delegated responsibilities to the vice president.
There was no official transmission to the National Assembly.
Okay.
He said it in the
statement.
Not only, he said the vice president and others. Go back to it.
Yes, with the chief
he
of staff.
mentioned with the chief. Is it possible? Okay, can you now say or this program now? This program now, can you have 2 producers? Is it possible for you to? You cannot. You have to say you are the producer, so that there will be
accountability
and responsibility. Okay, so it is a big confusion on its own. That means my brother, President, Vice President Oshibajo, or acting Vice President Oshibajo.
There was no letter, so it's not
cannot act the way he is, because he is not the only person being handed power over to. Oshibajo, secretary to the federal government,
Mustafa,
and others. What kind of a thing is that? Immediately you left, somebody came. He said, "Yes, you have asked him to go and take over the secretariat of APC," and he went there in a Rambo form, took over the whole place. Okay, and the governors, APC governors, in order to sort it out, if to say the party belongs to everybody, will they now be using our money that they know? One, ASU is on strike. A lot of unions are about to go on strike. Epileptic power supply, breaking down of a national grid that needs money to be taken care of. They took that money that is supposed to have used for that to travel again to UK to go and meet the president there. Why? That is to tell you that it is only one person that is controlling APC, and it is dangerous.
All right.
For our democracy.
Dr. Dayo, let's streamline this back to the APC, the crisis. Of course, the story has been debunked that there's no crisis in APC just because, as the media had reported, coming from John Akwano today. Now, he also said that the party has set in motion to vacate the injunction, the court injunction, restraining it from having its March 26th convention. Now, let's not forget that with the recent back and forth with Buni and the next Bello, yeah, it's the convention obviously would have, it's still tentative, the date is still tentative. So with this statement of his now, the question is like you rightly asked before now, when I asked the question at first, who is he telling that to? Is it the people or is it himself? So this particular statement, taking out the court injunction, restraining it from having its convention, do you think the convention is still tentative or is now cast in stone?
I will not deceive you. I said this at the beginning of this program.
Okay.
That is, anything built on distrust can never stand. Because APC was built on malice. This is the beginning of the end of APC. I will not deceive you. I'm not being partisan or sentimental now. We have been seeing it happening. Okay? Now, if you go to court, back to court, for this thing to be removed, that injunction to be removed, how about other cases? Are you forgotten when Oshiomhole was removed? So people too went to court.
Yeah.
The cases are still there. Who also removed that? Are you also sure that Bello himself, Papa, we want to allow that? Except the president now decide to wield his big stick against the judiciary. And you can see why the executive have been meddling with the independence of the judiciary. Because they know when things like this come, they will just throw you a paper. Ogbeni, see, you better pack well. so that we can move.
Let's address it from you know, the laws of the land as well, because INEC has its own, you know, acts, and the law is that if a party is changing leadership, there has to be a 21 days notice, 3 weeks. When the, you know, information or reports about the governor, you know, Bello Musa coming up as the new chairman, there was no transmission to INEC.
No.
Can that be one? Can that be the reason Buni is back in office? Then two, because March 26, prior to the announcement of that, was less than 3 weeks. So can that be the reason Buni is back in office? One. Then two, can it just be a situation of, okay, just lead us into the convention and then we address all the issues in the convention, despite, you know, question marks regards issues of consensus, either for the presidential candidates of the party as well as the national chairmanship position as well of the party?
Well, INEC, I like what Professor Mahmoud is doing in INEC, because he decided not to follow things that are derogatory to the act creating his commission.
Exactly.
All right. So I haven't seen that. I will not agree with you that it's because of that, because there's what we call reckless executive powers. Reckless executive powers, and we have been seeing it. We have been seeing it, whereby this government had refused to heed to judgments of the courts.
Of the courts, definitely.
All right. They have been saying it. They have also been saying it. That injunction or no injunction, that March 26, we hold.
Okay.
That after holding, then they will now know how to cross the bridge. So whether they remove that injunction or they are not removing it, they will still want to. But who and who are going to be part of that
convention
is the issue. Who and who? Because those people that are aggrieved, they will not want to go to that convention with them.
Okay.
They might even decide to walk away from the convention, as some people walked away from PDP convention the other time.
Okay.
So, but what we are seeing, I said it sometimes ago when what's his name again, Oshiomhole was made the chairman of APC. I said it then. I said this is the beginning of the end of APC. Okay, and you can see it playing out. Dr.
Ayo, before we go quickly for the want of time, let me just hear your thoughts on what you think the APC had increased its chairmanship form, party chairmanship form, to 20 million naira. Of course, what do you think? Some people say it's small, others may think it's big. I do not know.
Part of those that even said it's small.
Why do you think it's small? 20 million naira.
If they put it at even 500 million, even 1 billion, is your money that they will use to pay.
Exactly.
It is the person that the leadership, in quotes, wants there, that will get there. So when they know that that person doesn't have money, they will use the money and my money to pay. Who will query them? But then how will you be able to explain that?
But then it is now that this thing now made it look like it's who has the highest money that gets leadership, irrespective of if you're competent enough, if you're worthy of that position. So is it supposed to be about the money or competence in a real democratic system, Dr. Dayo?
And the issue is, yes, politics is expensive, no doubt about it. But again, that is why it is good for you and I to be in a political party in our locality. Because all these people springs up from there. Whether you have money or not, springs up from there.
Okay.
Just as we go in 30 seconds, please, the issue of, you know, money being thrown around in politics, should there be a cap to how much spending political parties and candidates, you know, can be able to spend during the political process? That's one. Then two, quickly, should we encourage what we see in other modern worlds regards grassroots funding? That way there will be transparency, there will be credibility within the process itself.
That's where I was going. Not until when you and I decide to be disruptive in this country. Disruptive, I'm saying, not destructive.
Disruptive.
When we are being disruptive through critical thinking, through extrapolating ideas, activities from other saner environments to this place, we're going to get to anywhere. Because they know whatever they give to you is what you will swallow.
Thank you, Doctor.
But then, the moment they now find out that these guys are now trying to be disruptive, that we are holding the bull by the horn, and then we are also using that horn of the bull to hold them in the jugular. Take the horn of the bull and use it to hold somebody here. He will listen to you.
Thank you so much, Dr.
And that is what Nigerians should learn to do now.
All right, we appreciate your thoughts on
Thank
this
you very much
conversation.
for the time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Dr. Dayo. That was Dr. Dayo Kayode, political technocrat. And that's the wrap of this segment, but we have another interesting segment for you after this commercial break. Stay with us.